Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are lying to you. All they have done for the past decade is lie to you. So do not trust them. This farce just gets worse. King Charles has to draw a line under it, or I'm warning him that he is going to be humiliated.
Not to mention Meghan's stability as she seizes the opportunity to exploit this newsworthy soap opera.
What was supposed to be Prince Harry's long-awaited return to Britain has turned into complete chaos. Meghan and the children have reportedly pulled out. Harry is now accusing people inside the royal establishment of putting his family at risk. Explosive new security claims have reignited the debate over alleged threats, and fresh reports suggest the Sussex team was quietly briefing selected journalists behind the scenes. Meanwhile, some royal experts are beginning to question whether this battle has gone far beyond security itself. But that's only half the story. Meghan's own plans for the trip have been raising eyebrows as well. According to multiple reports, Meghan and the children have now pulled out of the London trip entirely.
What do you make of the news that Harry will now not take Meghan and the kids to London as part of his UK return?
I think they all need to grow up. The fact of the matter is that the king has not seen his grandchildren now for many years, and this is a window of opportunity.
Harry will still travel to the UK alone, but his family will remain in California. And the reasons behind this are shocking. Stay with me to find them out. This wasn't supposed to happen. For a brief moment, it looked like King Charles might finally get the reunion he had been waiting years for. But those hopes quickly faded when plans for the family trip began to unravel.
Prince Harry's ongoing descent into total madness has continued overnight because he is now accusing Buckingham Palace, wait for it, of sabotage, of wanting to kill him, simply because they made clear he has been offered totally safe accommodation in the totally safe Buckingham Palace.
According to multiple reports, the issue wasn't travel logistics or scheduling conflicts. Once again, it came down to security. Harry has repeatedly argued that he cannot comfortably bring Meghan and the children to Britain without stronger protection arrangements, turning what should have been a family visit into yet another chapter of a long-running dispute.
A guy living 8,000 miles away on the coast of California, the west coast of California, who doesn't do any royal duties, and his wannabe Hollywood actress wife, Meghan, you know, they're not good. But why on earth should British taxpayers pay for them? He should give this up. And today, as we're filming this, we learned that he's just spent even more money to get some company, a security firm, to come up with a report to warn the government that if he comes to when he comes to the Invictus Games next year, he could be a target.
But is it true? Once you piece together all the facts, it starts to feel like nothing but an act. More like a carefully staged spectacle.
And these two losers want to bomb in, get all this attention, get royal protection so they can look and feel important, and then go back to their Montecito millions and make more by ripping on the royal family.
Exactly.
That's their favorite target.
Exactly.
What makes the situation even more complicated is that security decisions are not made by King Charles. Protection arrangements are handled through official government processes, meaning the monarch cannot simply step in and order the outcome Harry wants. But for Harry, his father was the main culprit, and that's where things start getting messy.
Want to make the biggest spectacle of private security to try and make some type of point.
What began as a discussion about a family reunion has evolved into a public battle involving court cases, security assessments, media leaks, and growing tensions between Harry and the institution he once represented.
That is madness. There is no plot within the British royal family to Prince Harry to try and make him unsafe. The whole reason that the offer to Buckingham Palace was made was to try and keep him safe. Seriously, this is so concerning. I think the offer should be withdrawn. I think Harry needs to seek help, and I actually don't believe that this trip is good for anyone now.
And Meghan herself? She has not returned to Britain often in recent years, and reports have repeatedly suggested she remains reluctant to place herself back under the intense media scrutiny that would inevitably follow a high-profile royal visit. Was it guilt? A guilty conscience after years of publicly criticizing the royal family? Or was it all part of a much bigger strategy? By the way, we'll talk about Meghan's reported PR plan for the palace visit and why it immediately raised eyebrows.
the so-called new Megxit rules, which has now been described as Megxin, is not going to catch on, by presenting the monarch with some of her shitty jam to try and get publicity. Honestly, this is a farce. I am totally sick of it.
Critics also questioned why details of the proposed visit appeared in the media long before any reunion took place. If the goal was simply a private family meeting, they asked, why was the trip becoming a public story before it had even happened?
There is a very simple way that this could be done that deals with Harry's paranoia. Get on a plane, don't tell the paps, get in a helicopter, don't tell the paps, fly to a remote estate, don't tell the paps, privately go about your business, and don't tell the paps or the media where you are, what you are going, or what you are doing. No one would know or care. And that is the point, Tash. If you have a big issue with your security, you don't release operational notes. Taylor Swift doesn't release operational notes announcing to every single person in the media where she's going to be.
For years, Prince Harry has insisted that one issue stands above everything else: security. Not money, not titles, not royal status. Security.
Every plan starts with the worst case scenario. He assumes someone is watching, someone is listening, or someone knows where he is. It's been described as a hyperstate of vigilance.
But in recent weeks, that battle has exploded into something much bigger. What started as a dispute over police protection has now turned into a bitter public war involving Buckingham Palace, court documents, private security reports, and even allegations that people inside the royal establishment are working against him.
The increasingly unhinged Harry believes that his father's courtiers want him. Not for the first time, he has voiced his paranoid conspiracy theory that the British establishment is plotting to have him taken out.
The timing couldn't be worse.
At the same time, you had people saying Harry says he wants to reconcile with his father. In the same interview where he is literally accusing his father, and I watched a clip the other day to refresh my memory, and, you know, Harry was saying that my father needs to get out of the way. My father needs to let people do their job. My father is responsible for stopping the assessment, in so many words, from being carried out. And then also in the same interview, he says there are people inside the royal fold that want me to get hurt. They want me and my wife and my children to get hurt.
Then came the claim that stunned royal watchers. Harry reportedly believed that individuals within the palace system were disregarding serious security concerns and creating conditions that could leave his family exposed to danger. It was an extraordinary accusation, one that transformed a dispute over protection into a much deeper conflict over trust, loyalty, and the role of the royal institution itself.
Repeating this fantastical nonsense has only served to amplify suggestions that His Majesty's second son has gone stark staring mad.
Harry believed the real problem was that details of the offer had become public. Once media outlets began discussing Buckingham Palace as a potential residence, he reportedly feared photographers would immediately begin monitoring entrances and exits, increasing the chances of Meghan and the children being photographed during the trip.
The biggest threat that Harry has really is the woman that he is in his home. I mean, Meghan is the one that needs all this attention. She needs to be the one who looks aligned with the royal family. They should never have announced this. This should have never even been out into the mainstream. We've seen Harry travel before. We've never known how he got there until he was actually there.
It sounds ironic, doesn't it? Meghan has spent years building her public image, and photographs like these would arguably benefit her far more than they would hurt her. That concern quickly evolved into something much bigger.
So the biggest, I think, problem that Harry has is his wife's quest for this celebrity lifestyle, which needs publicity, that needs to look like she is aligned with the royal family. And then that compromises Harry in what he is trying to do with his security detail. So there's just a conflict all around.
Harry reportedly became convinced that information about the arrangements had not leaked accidentally. Instead, he believed certain figures within the royal establishment were responsible for allowing details to reach the press in the first place. So now it's Palace fault, huh? Yet documents connected to Harry's legal fight painted a more complicated picture.
The dim Duke is convinced that the sovereign's sinister servants are somehow laying a trap for him, luring his unsuspecting American family into danger with an invitation to stay at newly refurbished Buckingham Palace during their planned 5-day visit.
Court disclosures reportedly indicated that some members of the royal household had previously advocated on his behalf regarding security matters. Rather than actively working against him, certain officials were said to have supported efforts to help secure protection arrangements. That revelation only deepened the mystery surrounding the dispute.
What was Harry thinking? Was he so high on the wacky-backy and the psychedelics that he believed something that simply isn't true? The source added to Nicole, from speaking to people close to him, it's clear he is stressed and very disappointed in Rafik's decision not to give his family the security he believes they need to have to be safe when they are travelling.
If some palace figures had actually tried to assist Harry, why is he blaming the palace now? Is it part of a broader victim narrative? Could there be a strategic reason behind it? The controversy exploded after Harry's now famous interview following his latest court defeat.
His people release he's under threat from at least 6 plots in the UK.
Very important. He's a very important person.
And Dan Wooden, he responded like, this is the most ridiculous, artificial, made-up document. It comes from Harry's office. It's like someone's been searching their emails to find like I'll get you.
While speaking about security, reconciliation, and his future relationship with the royal family, Harry suggested that there were individuals inside the royal system who did not want him, Meghan, and their children adequately protected.
Actually, the only thing that should be staged for Prince Harry is some type of intervention now. And I don't even think this man should be coming to the United Kingdom at all, let alone bringing his difficult wife, and I would argue his very vulnerable children.
Although he stopped short of directly accusing his father, the implication was clear. Someone, somewhere within the royal establishment, was standing in the way. Critics immediately pointed to what they saw as a contradiction. On one hand, Harry spoke about repairing family relationships and moving toward reconciliation. On the other, he continued raising concerns about people surrounding the monarchy and their role in the security dispute. To many observers, those two messages appeared difficult to reconcile.
Meltdown in Montecito as Meghan Markle and Harry unravel over their all-consuming obsession with security amid growing fears for their sanity.
And reportedly, Harry's security fears to Palace sparked questions about his state of mind. Reports describing Harry's daily security routine painted the picture of someone living under extraordinary levels of vigilance.
Being careful is understandable, but living as though every day brings a new threat is emotionally exhausting. Friends hope he can eventually let his guard down before fear completely takes over. And this is the problem with everything that Harry is doing. It is just making him look more and more crazy.
According to multiple accounts, hotel rooms were reportedly swept before he entered them. Phone numbers were changed regularly. His movements were known only to a small circle of trusted aides, and in some cases, decoy vehicles were allegedly used during travel to reduce the risk of being followed.
And there is a fundamental mental health issue going on here, with Rob Shooter revealing that Harry's paranoia is now spiraling, the security fears taking over his life. That has become obvious, hasn't it? He is consumed by this. One insider telling Naughty But Nice that he sees threats everywhere. Friends say his daily life has become governed by elaborate security rituals. Homes and hotel rooms are swept for listening devices before he settles in. He frequently changes phone numbers, limits who can contact him directly, and insists that his movements remain known to only a tiny circle of trusted aides. Sources also claim Harry has pushed for decoy vehicles during some trips to make it harder to track his whereabouts.
None of those precautions are unusual on their own for a high-profile public figure. But taken together, they prompted a growing debate over whether Harry's approach to security had become increasingly driven by fear rather than risk assessments alone. The discussion intensified after Harry's own privately commissioned security report became public.
Prince Harry's total breakdown and break from reality has continued overnight, because not only is he breaking down in tears again during his holiday to Portugal, he has now leaked a private security document.
The document claimed there had been multiple alleged threats connected to him, many of them linked to Britain. Critics immediately pointed out that the assessment had not been produced by British intelligence agencies or the police, but by Harry's own private security company, raising fresh questions about how much weight the report should carry.
He can't accept he's not a royal anymore. You know, they made that agreement with the Queen and everything, and they're still using the title. So, you know, he's got to get over it, but he never will he?
No, it doesn't look like it, doesn't it?
Here's the problem. You're using taxpayer money, Harry, in order to then make profit off you and Meghan's brand. What they're actually doing here is a business trip.
At the same time, another detail kept resurfacing. Harry has attended large public events in the United States, appeared before thousands of spectators, traveled internationally, and continued making high-profile appearances. Critics questioned why the greatest danger always appeared to arise specifically when Britain entered the picture.
I think part of the reason they want to take the children is so that they can say future King William would not see his own niece and nephew.
Tracks.
They are of the royal blood. William and Kate are cold-blooded, unfeeling people. There are also reports that Harry wants to stay at Althorpe, which is Diana's home and resting place.
Some argued that Harry's security concerns had become all-consuming. Others went even further, suggesting publicly that he appeared overwhelmed by anxiety and should step away from the spotlight before the situation deteriorated further.
Harry and Meghan intended to use this trip with the spectacle of private security to browbeat the king, to overrule his government, something that would have caused a constitutional crisis, in order for his security to be funded by the British taxpayer forevermore, because quite frankly, his career disasters and Meghan Markle's career disasters mean they cannot afford the $3 million price tag.
Then another report added even more fuel to the fire. Veteran royal correspondent Richard Eden revealed that a private WhatsApp group created by the Sussex communications team had allegedly been used to distribute detailed operational information about Harry and Meghan's planned UK visit to selected journalists before the trip even began.
Now, in fairness, Richard Eden is one of the few people within the British mainstream media who didn't fall for their lies, and he's now blowing the whistle on this secret WhatsApp group chat.
That revelation immediately caught people's attention. Because only days earlier, Harry had argued that publicity surrounding his family's movements created security risks. Yet according to these reports, members of the Sussex communications operation had themselves been circulating detailed information about the proposed visit to members of the press.
Yes, I repeat, Prince Harry's descent into madness, which I do believe is driven by wacky backy, driven by psychedelics, as I outlined on yesterday's show, is getting far worse, folks.
Around the same time, reports surfaced about a private security assessment allegedly identifying multiple threats linked to Harry's visits to Britain. Harry argues that the risks attached to his status did not disappear when he stepped back from royal duties. If anything, he believes they increased.
In the negotiations after Megxit, at this thing called the Sandringham Summit, where all of the senior royals, the late Queen Elizabeth II, King Charles, William, and their senior staff gathered, Harry was told point blank, you will lose your security if you leave in this way.
His military service in Afghanistan, his global profile, and years of intense media attention have all been cited as reasons why he believes enhanced security remains necessary. But critics see the situation very differently. They point out that British authorities have repeatedly reviewed the available intelligence and repeatedly reached the same conclusion.
Oh, it's just ludicrous. Like, Harry gets what anyone else who's high profile gets. And if there is a specific threat, he will get protection.
Harry is not being denied protection entirely. Instead, officials continue to assess each visit individually and determine what level of security is required based on the circumstances. That distinction has become one of the central arguments in the entire dispute. Because Harry is not simply asking for protection, he is asking for a permanent level of armed security, normally reserved for the most senior working members of the royal family.
Security, these armed cop guards he demands whenever he comes to Britain. He's never going to get it. He doesn't warrant it. Only frontline royals get that, working royals, and not all of them.
And that is where the controversy intensifies. Critics argue that if the threat level is truly as serious as Harry suggests, then one obvious question remains unanswered. Why has the Sussex family continued traveling to other parts of the world without the same public objections?
is definitely raising questions about his sanity and his grasp on reality. For somebody who is constantly proclaiming the benefits of therapy and mental health, I cannot think of a more mentally unhealthy person at, you could argue, some of the pinnacles in some ways of celebrity than Prince Harry.
The issue was raised repeatedly after Harry and Meghan undertook high-profile international trips, including visits that involved large public appearances, crowds, media attention, and extensive travel schedules. Every new trip, every public appearance, and every security report seems to reopen the same question. Is Harry facing an extraordinary threat, or is he demanding extraordinary treatment?
He wants to be treated like a former prime minister who will receive lifetime security rights. So even Liz Truss, who was prime minister for six weeks, she receives security for the rest of her life. He believes that that's what he deserves.
The controversy grew even larger when reports emerged that a separate security assessment had allegedly identified several potential plots or threat scenarios connected to Harry. As a result, two completely different narratives began emerging. One side saw a prince trying to protect his wife and children from risks that officials were failing to take seriously. The other saw a years-long campaign to regain privileges that were lost when he stepped away from royal life.
I think Harry's delusions are getting worse. For him to now turn around and say Prince William's staff are involved in it, he's honestly, the cheese is sliding off the cracker, is the best way I think I can say that. It's getting worse.
Totally. It really is.
And somewhere between those competing narratives sits the central question that still remains unanswered. If the danger is truly as severe as Harry believes, why have British authorities repeatedly refused to restore the level of protection he wants?
I've said from the get-go that I thought that it was a setup, and that if Harry didn't get his way, then he gets to continue to villainize his father, which he has been consistently doing.
And if officials are correct in their assessment, why does Harry continue insisting that the threat is far greater than they are willing to acknowledge? But according to Harry, the biggest problem was never the threat itself. It was who he believed was standing in the way of addressing it.
They've been invited, as they reportedly have even now, to stay in Buckingham Palace, where you do have drivers, you have guards, famously outside the entire castle. And when you drive around Great Britain, you're entitled to have your private security with you.
Perhaps the most confusing aspect of the entire saga is that it unfolded at the exact same time Harry was publicly talking about reconciliation. In interviews, he spoke about repairing relationships and moving forward with his family. Yet those calls for peace were arriving alongside fresh accusations, renewed security disputes, and growing suspicions about individuals inside the royal establishment.
What is the issue that Harry can't actually see what is happening? Like, why can't he see that the problem, I think the majority of the issues are with his wife? Right? I mean, I don't understand how he thinks he can have this security detail and think that he can just bully the royal family into, giving him something when the wife is continually to compromise everything that Harry is trying to do.
To many observers, the two messages appear difficult to reconcile. How could meaningful reconciliation happen when trust between the two sides seemed lower than ever? What makes the situation even more remarkable is that there appeared to be an opportunity sitting right in front of both sides. Reports suggested Harry could stay within a royal residence protected by existing security measures. In theory, it could have provided a pathway toward a family reunion while addressing at least some of the concerns surrounding safety. Instead, the proposal became another source of disagreement.
Not to mention Meghan's stability as she seizes the opportunity to exploit this newsworthy soap opera to advertise more of that overpriced tat that no one wants to buy on her hilarious jam and honey online site as ever.
But while Harry's security battle was dominating headlines, another story was quietly resurfacing. Because according to multiple royal reports, tensions between Meghan and the palace had never been limited to security, titles, or family disagreements. Long before the latest controversy, there were already concerns inside royal circles about how the Sussexes wanted to manage their public image.
God, what am I going to do? I'm going to sneak some was never into my bag and give it to the king, and I'm going to launch this new lavender honey. I mean, it's gross.
And some insiders claim those disagreements began much earlier than most people realize. But perhaps the biggest contradiction in the entire story came from Meghan. Throughout Harry's security battle, one of his central complaints was that private details surrounding the family's plans had become public. According to his camp, publicity itself created additional security concerns. The more people knew about where the family might stay or when they might arrive, the greater the risks became.
Thoughtful, because that's something she's created herself. She hasn't. Oh my God, stop this. She wants the gift to feel personal, not extravagant. The timing, however, has raised eyebrows. As speculation grows over Meghan's first UK visit in years, she has simultaneously ramped up promotion of As Ever.
Harry kept arguing that publicity endangered his family. Yet according to reports, detailed operational notes about the trip were simultaneously being circulated to selected journalists through the Sussex communications operation. Yet almost simultaneously, fresh reports suggested Meghan had her own plans for the visit. According to multiple royal reports at the time, Meghan was considering bringing gifts from her lifestyle brand, As Ever, for King Charles. Sources claimed she believed homemade products, including preserves and other items connected to the brand, would serve as a personal peace offering while helping rebuild relations with the family.
Royal style gift. Oh, piss off. Piss off with your gross lavender honey that no one's buying. But in all seriousness, this farce has to end. I just repeat that point, because what is happening is that the king and the British royal family are about to be embarrassed.
But the timing immediately raised questions, because at exactly the same time, Harry was arguing that excessive publicity surrounding the family's movements could place them at greater risk. Meghan's brand was becoming increasingly visible through carefully staged promotional content and new product launches. Royal commentators quickly began asking whether the proposed gesture was purely personal or whether it also carried obvious public relations value.
Last Friday, Eden writes, they all received a long message confirming details of Prince Harry and Meghan's return visit to Britain. It wasn't just the type of short message they sometimes receive, but a long operational note detailing exactly what the couple would be doing after they landed in the country.
Was it simply a thoughtful gift for the king? Or was it another opportunity to associate the As Ever brand with the royal family? What do you think? Because while Harry's strategy appeared to revolve around privacy and security, Meghan's public image continued moving in the opposite direction. New products, new social media content, new promotional campaigns. Two completely different approaches unfolding at exactly the same time.
I know this is the thing as well with the kids, and this is where I think the children were used. I don't believe the kids were ever going to come. This is just this feeling that I personally have. I think the children were thrown in at the last minute, because we didn't hear about the children coming. Harry was coming, and then it was, a couple of weeks before they were due to come out. If he knows he has to give 30 days notice, he only gave a few weeks notice for the children to be coming. I think he used the children as a bit of extra leeway to put the pressure on, because he knew Ravak weren't going to give him what he wanted. Then he thought, okay, well, let's just say we're going to bring the children over. They don't necessarily have to come.
According to reports, Harry genuinely believed bringing Archie and Lilibet back to Britain would change the security assessment. Sources claimed he assumed that once the children became part of the visit and the king offered accommodation within a royal residence, enhanced police protection would naturally follow. It didn't. The decision remained exactly the same. One point kept resurfacing throughout the entire dispute. Harry appeared to believe that his father could somehow resolve the situation. Yet under Britain's system, security decisions are made through government processes, not by the monarch. That fundamental misunderstanding became one of the biggest sources of frustration on both sides. Every new revelation made the same question even harder to answer. Did Harry stop trusting the palace? Or did the palace stop trusting Harry?
But this revelation in terms of Harry believing the palace plot is to somehow try and get him is not an exaggeration. I mean, you remember last year in the interview with the British Bashing Corporation, he directly accused the palace.
Perhaps the strangest contradiction was that Harry repeatedly said he wanted reconciliation. Yet almost every public appearance seemed to introduce another accusation, another grievance, or another disagreement. The more he spoke about rebuilding bridges, the more those bridges appeared to burn. And all of this was unfolding just months before preparations for the next Invictus Games intensified. Instead of conversations focusing on veterans, headlines were once again dominated by security disputes, leaked reports, and royal conflict. And that's where we'll leave it for now. If you want to stay up to date with everything happening between Harry, Meghan, and the royal family, make sure to subscribe to Crown Clash. I cover the latest royal news and breaking developments every single day, and I'll be following this story every step of the way. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.